Hi and welcome to Catholic Call. I hope you're having a great day, or night, depending if you're listening to us at night. So, welcome and let's get started.
Yeah, we got some good topics today. We hope, we think, we pray.
Hopefully, yeah.
So,
don't never quote us. Just
that's going to become our tagline.
It should be our quote, slogan. Never quote us.
Yeah, there is not an imprimatur on this podcast. You know, probably even said that wrong. So don't quote us.
Yeah. What's the equivalent of the the Vatican stamp on books?
Yeah, that's an well, now I need to look up how it's printed. It's an imprimatur.
Imprimatur.
Okay.
I should know how to say it, but yeah, if you see a catechism book or any textbook, there's usually two. There's in Nihil obstat.
Yeah.
Nihil space obstat. I took Latin like 20 years ago, which is like one level, and then there's the imprimatur, which is the second level. So I see it written a lot. I don't know that I've ever heard it actually said out loud. But yeah, that is what says this is authentic Catholic teaching, and the magisterium has approved it. They have not done that for this podcast, so keep that in mind.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know if you can do it for a podcast, actually.
I don't know
if you can do it for anything that's not a rented work. You can do it for a transcript of the podcast.
Yeah. So like the video.
Yeah.
Like if we don't edit it.
If we printed out the words.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And typed out the script, then we could mail that to a bishop and ask for it, which I'm sure he would say, "Why is this? Throw that away. Don't take their calls."
Okay. So, a question first?
Sure.
Or a game?
Yeah, we're going to do a question, then we have a game. Yeah, start with a question.
Okay.
I'm ready for a question.
Let's see. What happens if a non-Catholic receives communion?
What happens if a non-Catholic receives communion? Yeah. I don't know. I think it would really depend on why and how.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really...
What do you... Yeah.
The question maybe needs maybe to be a bit more specific. But it's like depending on the intention.
Yeah, I think it's depending on the intention and the level of knowledge. So I mean, I think there's kind of there's poor catechesis even among Catholics around the Eucharist and what we believe and how that's different from other Christians. And sometimes that's not even sometimes in really heavily Catholic communities, that's not even out of a lack of respect or anything. It's just they don't understand that not all Christians believe what Catholics believe about the Eucharist. So I think, there's a difference. So imagine a couple of scenarios. A small child walks up and is somehow able to attain a host. I don't know why some unfortunate Eucharistic minister left them on the credence table and a child wanders up and takes one. That's why we should always treat the Eucharist with reverence and should be in a tabernacle in the hand of a minister. But let's for whatever reason, they get it and they eat it. Or think about a person who is a Protestant and they're visiting a Catholic church and they're maybe not being guided super well. They're not even with someone. They just go up and they don't realize they're not supposed to take it. So I think that the Eucharist is always a blessing. And when I think it's taken in innocence, I don't think it's a sin. I think that probably there's some level of grace imparted just because the person in their soul is saying, I want Jesus. And I want this thing.
If that's the intention, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that this, in my mind, maybe I'm thinking of an adult Protestant, I, in my way, want to be symbolically closer to Jesus, and I'm still trying to reach him as best I understand it. I think that we as the Catholic community should endeavor to not allow this to happen, and it's kind of on us. But I think there's lots and lots of innocent ways it could happen, and I think that's no fault. And then what you do is you just gently remind someone and you instruct them of why this is different, what this is important.
Really is, yeah.
Now I think I think there could be someone who takes it on purpose, who knows that they're not invited, that knows they're not supposed to, and does it kind of in defiance. I mean, I hate to say this, but I know people that I've met in my life who at some point have said to me something about the fact of I should be allowed to take it, so I'm going to take it. And they go and they don't admit that they're not in full union with the church for whatever reason, or that their belief is not in full with the faith, and then they take it. And I think that anytime you are taking something in rebellion or St. Paul says, let us make sure that our hearts are pure and we are not eating or drinking to our own condemnation. There is a way in which you take the Eucharist and it is not a blessing for you. That you are taking it and it is harming you because you are taking it in a moment of you are seizing what should not be seized.
It's never taking for yourself. It's you can't like take something that is being given to you because it's been given. So it's always taking from taking for yourself is always like it's done in a selfish manner. So it's not like receiving. It's not in this. It's done in the same it's in the same way. But in both cases, it's not any less Jesus.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's really substantially Jesus. So in both cases, the person that receives it and does not know it's Jesus, but really wants to connect with Jesus to get closer to Jesus, it's still Jesus. So you do receive, as you were saying, graces. But the person that goes in defiance, it's sacrilege, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's not I don't believe in the Eucharist. Jesus in my hand is not gonna transubstantiate out of
right.
Like it's not gonna, the process is not gonna reverse. Like it's still Jesus, no matter what you do to it, to Jesus. So,
yep,
that's the hard part. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, so I think that Jesus is coming to us in such a humble way. Like the Eucharist is such our God becoming man, becoming bread. Like it's such a humble thing. So I don't think whenever you do it, again, in innocence, like I think of a time, like I remember a Eucharistic minister one time that spilled the precious blood, and they were so sad that what they had done, but there was no, like they weren't even being like, there was like a tear in the carpet they didn't see, like they weren't even being negligent, like just a human accident happened. And I said, like, there is no guilt here, and I'm sure that like Jesus is not insulted that he is now in the rug, because he wasn't insulted to be wine. Like your heart is pure. Please don't bear guilt around this. But that is very different than handling something shoddily or seizing it or not caring. A deacon who I respect a lot often would say, you can't, to a certain degree, you can't be disrespectful unless you're meaning to be.
Yeah. So
if you're meaning to be, that's a problem. But if you're not meaning to be, then we just need to make sure we're doing a good job of catechizing and making sure that access is, and that invitation is to who it is meant to go towards. And if you want the Eucharist, then like, by all means, look up your local RCIA class and become Catholic. Like it is an invitation to everyone, but you want to be prepared and you want to be in the right place.
Yeah, and even though if you're not prepared, you can still go in front and get the blessing.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. If you want to go like everyone and just receive something from the church, you can receive a blessing.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared, or not prepared like in lots of ways. There's a lot of ways you can be not prepared or not ready to receive it. But
Yeah, but I think always the thing that we should always keep in mind, like the Eucharist is a gift, and you receive a gift. You don't take a gift. You don't demand a gift. I mean, even this, like even as a deacon on the altar, like just this last weekend, I take the hosts and I give them out to the other Eucharistic ministers, but I don't do that until Father has offered it to me first. So I receive, and now once I have been given the gift and received, then I may pass it to others. And there was a moment actually he forgot to offer me. So usually the way we do it is Father will give me the body and I receive, and then he'll give me the blood, and then I'll follow him to give the rest of the ministers. As he's giving the body, I'm giving the blood. But he kind of, as happens, he forgot to give it to me. So I just waited. Like I felt like, and I think this is proper both theologically and liturgically, that it would have been wrong for me to have taken the cup, which I have not yet been offered, and start taking it for myself or even giving it to others. So I waited. Father made eye contact and was like, why aren't you following me? And I kind of was like, because you have to give it to me. And then he immediately stopped, handed it to me. I received, and then proceeded as according. And I think that's just, it's an easy thing to take for granted, as an easy thing to get in the habit of receiving the Eucharist and being like, oh, I'm do it in some sense when I come on Sunday, but don't think that, because you shouldn't take it for granted. Like it's not taking things for granted is a great rule generally, but if you're talking about something like the Eucharist, like let's crank that up a few notches of always being aware we are receiving a gift and enter with that mindset.
Yeah, I mean you can't really you can't really give something that you haven't received. Like it's hard to give something that, like for example, let's say knowledge. You can't give a specific knowledge of something if you haven't received that knowledge first or learned it,
Yeah.
So it's always a good thing. Yeah. I've seen it that you like deacons and like Eucharistic minister receive communion before giving communion, but like I've never thought about like the whole meaning. Yes, it does make sense, but all of those little things. Yeah, we could spend hours just slicing up mass in little parts and just discussing about like all the little things in the mass. It would take hours, but we don't have that kind of time. But
but no, that's exactly right. Yeah, was used the Eucharistic minister, you receive first, and even Father, he receives first. I mean, he's the leader and he's standing in persona Christi, so he does, as a priest, he self-communicates, but he receives first and only then offers it to others. Like, he's not, exempt even from that.